9 billion names of pod.
From Atlanta,
where sadly Brian Kemp is no longer a pile of racist ash.
it's the 9 Billion Names of Pod with Dan Bauman and Michael Reed. I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm wondering where Deadpool and the X-Men were during all this.
So, let's talk about some stuff.
Let's take some stuff and assemble.
It was a hell of a weekend in nerd culture. It was basically...
Last weekend,
yeah. Yes.
When you're hearing this, there will have been a
whole nother thing.
A whole nother
thing.
But by the time you're hearing this, there will be another record shattering box office for Endgame.
Yep. And another episode of Game of Thrones. We're recording this right before... was this May 5th, the Sunday episode of Game of Thrones. So we are going to talk about Endgame and last week's episode, and possibly the ones before it, because we haven't
really done any Game of Thrones because somebody hasn't been keeping up.
Well, I finally have,
but now you have, so we'll chat up a little bit.
But first,
don't let your ears glaze over, people. We are not going to recap the last 7 seasons. We're gonna hit this last episode.
We're
gonna hit the last episode, maybe make a few references to previous episodes, and then if we get the wild hair at the very end of it all to go back and do an in-depth look at the series.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that at some point. But
I'll have to rewatch it because for me,
a friend of mine at work, I was like, yeah, I'm on, the end of episode 7. He goes, I envy you. I said, why? He goes, because you didn't have to wait 2 years for this season 8 to start. I was like, yeah, we finished.
You did it exactly the right way.
We literally finished the last 3 episodes of episode 7 the night before episode 8, season 8 started. So
see, for people like me, when I started, Maisie Williams was 11 years old.
Yeah, she was a little tiny child.
She was a child.
Yeah.
Now she is getting it on in the stables or wherever.
We'll get to that. Let's get the other.
You want to go to the end game?
Yeah.
And everything's fine, and Thanos was defeated, and there we go. Okay, so
he won. It was funny because last weekend there was a giant campaign by Disney and Marvel. It's like, don't spoil the Endgame. Don't spoil the Endgame. Don't spoil the Endgame. And Endgame came out, technically Friday, but like many screenings on Thursday.
We saw it Thursday. Absolutely.
And the weekend. And then all of a sudden, Sunday night, like Game of Thrones happened, and everyone kind of forgot about the Endgame spoilers and was talking about Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and it helped out. Although I did hear, I believe it was in Japan of all places.
Yes.
Some person started yelling out spoilers as they left the theater while other people were waiting to get in and got their ass beat.
Yes.
And you know what? I'm not a violent person, but in that case, you're not just talking loud amongst your friends. You're purposely being a dick, so you get a pummeling. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I would have joined in on that. That's not cool.
Now, have you seen it again?
I have not seen it again.
Okay.
You, however, from what I understand,
I saw it again yesterday because Courtney wasn't able to go with us on Thursday,
right?
And this was the first time.
Has it aged well?
Yes, it's every bit as powerful as in the week that it's been out.
Okay.
It's
none of the references are dated. It holds up.
Yeah, those haircuts are so weird. No, this is a remarkable achievement, which I don't think will ever be topped, or it will ever happen again.
It's remarkable because of what came before it.
Well, that's what I mean.
This essentially was building the pyramid, and Endgame was the capstone at the very top, with like a star attached to it.
A 22 or 23 story arc through major motion pictures has never been done before.
Nope.
And I don't even think Marvel can do it again, to be honest. I mean, I think we'll have a new phase and we'll have a new storyline, and they'll try, but I don't think they'll be able to, and nor should they, to be honest. I mean, they could like pack it up and it would be fine.
Right, but the thing is that in this process, these 20 some odd films and 10, I think it's 12 years? 11,
10.
12? 10 years?
Yeah, 10 or 11. Yeah.
We didn't necessarily know that it was leading to this film.
Right.
I mean, we knew that things were interconnected and we were enjoying it, but it wasn't like, oh, that's going to, we were just having a number of films that we enjoyed that were good. Some were really great, Black Panther. And all of a sudden we realize, oh, crap.
There's a thing
I
happening.
see the end of the road, and it's called Endgame. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Now, who's to say that if Feige's a smart guy, take some of the remnants, add some new stuff, and start working, and maybe not trying to do exactly the same thing.
I think they should do a different take on it. Like, they should try something else. I don't know. I don't know what you can... Just trying to repeat a giant long arc that builds up. I'm not a Marvel guy, and you're not even a comic book guy, really.
No.
And I was trying to think of what... Because I knew of the Infinity War and the Infinity Gauntlet and all that stuff and Thanos. But I wasn't, schooled in it, and I didn't read a lot of Marvel stuff. And I was trying to think, well, okay, what other big Marvel storylines could the next phase lead to? And I can't think of it. There was like everyone
Well, I mean, who's to say they have to pull everything or even anything from the comics?
True.
Now, of course, that is great fan service when you can do that.
Yes.
I'm sure there are any number of fanboys out there, but what about, and then there's, how could you not?
Of course.
So maybe they're listening to that and going, okay.
And even this was not the story from Infinity Gauntlet.
Right, exactly. They made it their own.
They made it their own.
They made it their own thing. And
smartly, brilliantly, to be honest.
Right, and you think, oh, well, they've used up all their, Marvel's used up all their characters. No,
not by a long shot.
No, not by a long shot.
They used most of their heavy hitters, or a lot of their heavy hitters.
A lot of their heavy hitters, but, who at the beginning of this would have thought, a talking tree and a raccoon,
as we have said,
and all these other
would be beloved characters.
Exactly. You. What do I always say?
The writing.
Writing. You do the writing and you work it. Obviously, this was Feige'd from start to finish.
Right.
I mean, this guy should get a Producers Guild Award
just for pulling this fucking thing off.
Yeah, exactly. This is really the end game for him.
Right. That's why I said that this is why this is such a remarkable achievement, because there have been plenty of comic book movies. There have been plenty of
yeah, but they're lucky to get to a trilogy of the same thing.
The same thing with the same actors.
Right.
With the exception of Edward Norton, this MCU is pretty much, from Iron Man on, has been the same actors playing the same characters.
That's true. Wow. Who did we have before Norton?
Well, Ruffalo is Hulk now.
Right.
Edward Norton was in the Incredible Hulk movie.
And who's the one before that?
It was Eric Bana.
Eric Bana,
but that wasn't even connected. That was the Ang Lee one that's
right.
not even watchable, from what I understand.
No, I did watch it, and you are correct. It is not.
Yeah,
Ang Lee, he does a great British costume drama.
Right.
Oh boy, does he ever!
I talked to a friend of mine. And I said, "Should I go see the Hulk?" He said, "Well, if you do, go buy a ticket, then go have dinner, and then come back about an hour and a half later, and then go into the movie."
It's like sometimes they say, we need to get a director to do this superhero. We need to breathe some life into this franchise. Hey, what about the guy that directed St. Elmo's Fire? Can we bring him in?
Yeah.
Over on the other studio. Like, what about the guy who did, what was it? Remains of the Day. Yep. Can we bring him in? Like, because that's who you go to when you think super action, Well,
Kenneth Branagh directed one, so...
Well, yes. But he's been doing Shakespeare, which is,
And that's what he did. The first Thor movie is basically a Shakespearean drama, and that's kind of why it doesn't... It's okay. The second one is not good.
I still haven't seen it.
It's not good. And it doesn't... Other than a couple little moments and, like, moving the story along, it doesn't really give you much. It's not
It's
great.
Basically Force Awakens. No, I'm sorry. Phantom Menace. Excuse me.
It's not that bad. It's just weak. It's just weak in respects of how good everything else in the MCU. It's the bottom of the barrel.
Right.
It's fine.
When you have, your Black Panthers and your Avengers films, that makes others like, on its own, it was like, it was okay. But when you combine it, you compare it to the other stuff, you're like, oh yeah, that really was.
And exactly,
good.
And the problem with it was that they hadn't figured out the character, and this plays into Endgame as well. Thor, they were just trying to make him big, brooding, gorgeous, Adonis of a man, and they didn't realize the gem that they had in Chris Hemsworth being so goddamn funny.
And they nailed it in Endgame.
Well, when they got into Ragnarok, and it was like they figured it out. They cracked the fucking code.
So the ladies got the funny hot Thor because I've heard complaints that they were looking forward to Thor in Endgame, and they're like, we get fat Thor. Okay, when does he change back? No, he doesn't
change back. That was the beautiful thing about it.
He's not magic. He got fat over time.
Over 5 years.
He'll get fit over time if he does. If he ever does.
If not, he might just be Lebowski Thor in the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Which they reference. He's either Lebowski.
Yeah.
Again, the writing.
And I noticed it, and this is just a quick side note. I noticed it the second time, and I think somebody mentioned it. All what Thor was drinking and a lot of things were local Atlanta beers. He was drinking Creature Comforts, Tropicalia, and a couple other things.
That I did not know, but good.
Yeah.
Well, because it was shot here.
It was shot here, yeah, and they must have liked it,
Keep in mind, folks, we got a Hulk, and we got a Thor, and we got everything else, and we've got Pinewood Studios, and all, Let's hope the Republicans don't suddenly think, they're going to pull back the tax credits. We're spending so much money. It's like, no. You're getting less than you normally would have if you would charge them full freight. But you know what? If they leave, guess how much you get then? Nothing.
Nothing of the billions that they've spent that they brought to the economy of Atlanta.
Exactly.
And it's not even that. It's the religious freedom crazy bills that they're trying to pass.
Oh my gosh.
But let's stay on task with the good part of it. What the movie was. It's funny. I was watching Venom, and there's the terrible, ridiculous chase all around the Rialto Theater.
Now, Venom that's not Marvel or DC, is it? That's another thing.
No, it's Marvel.
It is Marvel.
Well, Venom is a Spider-Man villain. And it's okay. And it's a Sony movie, so Sony still owns all the Spider-Verse, if you will. So Into the Spider-Verse is Sony.
Oh, that's right. They didn't get Spider-Man wholesale from the Fox sale.
Right. So
they got X-Men and Well, did they get Deadpool?
Yeah, because he's Fox.
That is Fox.
That is Fox. That's
so they got the X-Men, they got the Deadpool.
Yep.
And they didn't show up. I've told you this. I wanted the end credit thing to be Deadpool showing up like, all right. What the
Any other movie would have been great. It's just that they didn't even have an ending stinger on this one.
They did, though.
Well, that's very ambiguous and up to interpretation.
Well, of course, because it's letting everyone know it's over, but it ain't over. There's a reason why Cap didn't just, get old and go away, and that's the end.
Right.
Well,
even in the comics, that's what I was going to say. Even in the comics, like, these comics, some of these have been around for 50, 60, 70 years.
Right.
In the modern age, they have, these characters have sat down. There have been many, 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 many different configurations of the Avengers. It's not always Captain America and Iron Man. It's that's like, I would guess that the configuration that we had was never really in the comics. There were always other people. There was Wasp was in there, not in the franchise. Ant-Man and Giant Man. But it was Hank Pym, and so there was. So it's a new thing. But even in the comics, we have different people being these characters, like your Miles Morales being Spider-Man, and your Scott Lang isn't the original Ant-Man. It was Hank Pym, and Hank Pym was one of the Avengers, and
which we got to see the original.
We did.
The original helmet.
We did.
Talk about fan service. It's what I always said. The thing that Marvel's good at is they put things in there that mean nothing to the average viewer. They don't recognize it. They don't care.
Right.
But the people that know love it and appreciate it. And it's it takes you a little while to make a prop to look like the original helmet, stick it on the table there, and that's all you need to do to make 20% of the audience go, oh!
Yeah, it's like you said, it doesn't detract from people
No.
who don't know, but the people who do, it's really important to them.
And I could tell during because I know some stuff, obviously nowhere near as much as the comic book people
Yeah.
do, but there are things that I reacted to that other people did not react to because they didn't understand, which is fine.
Yeah.
There's no, it just means more enjoyment for me.
And like you said, they're really good at, like, I remember in the original Ant-Man movie, there was a cameo by Garrett Morris from Saturday Night Live.
Who was Ant-Man.
Who was Ant-Man in the first appearance of Ant-Man on television in a weird sketch on Saturday Night Live. And, that's for nobody. That's for, 5 people in the world, but they got it and they loved it, that kind of stuff.
Of course, my favorite part of Ant-Man was Agent Pearson.
Yes,
Agent Pearson. I keep hassling Suhaila. So, are Agent Pearson going to show up? What are you filming now? Oh, just a thing. Is it an Agent Pearson thing? Just shut up about Agent Pearson. It's like the one person who kept, remember that role you did 20 years ago? Are you doing what? Tell me more. Huh?
Hey, we have a friend in the Marvel Universe. That's pretty damn cool.
Hey, remember that time when you were Agent Pearson?
When you were hassling Ant-Man.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was awesome.
So, all right. So let's. I always like to start off these things with a letter grade. I'm going to go straight A.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I seem to think that maybe there was a couple of clunky moments, but I can't remember what they are.
Like I said, I saw it yesterday. There are not really any. There were no lines that make me go ugh.
Yeah,
there's no.
Thank God they've got that down, because let me tell you, there is writing and then there is writing dialogue.
Yeah,
and that is a completely different set of skills than your standard writing.
Yeah.
Being able to write a screenplay is far different,
or
in my opinion, from being able to write a short story or a novel.
Right.
It's a different animal.
Or the editing process that they went through with, that didn't work. I read a story that said they struggled to find Tony's last line. They're like, they tried a whole bunch of things, and they said it was the editor who was like, why doesn't he just say, Thanos says, I am inevitable. Why don't we full circle it and bookend it and him say, I am Iron Man? And they were like, get fucking Downey here today. We have to shoot this now.
Yeah.
So it's the stuff like that. So there are
Wait. His final words? What are you talking about?
Spoilers.
Oh.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it by now.
If you're listening to a pop culture nerd podcast.
You're 18 minutes into the podcast.
Yeah. Spoilers.
So yeah, straight A without a doubt.
Now, I was a little underwhelmed, I will say, about how they did the time thing.
I was, and
simply because
it's a cheat.
It's a total cheat. I thought they were going to be far more clever. I knew it had something to do with quantum shit.
Yeah.
I knew that.
That was the only thing that they fucked up on the spoilers, because those outfits they put on, like the toys came out and said Quantum Realm uniform or something, and it was like, well, fuck.
Now we know.
And everybody just put all the pieces together.
But it made it so like nothing.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the only defense of it I have.
Okay.
The way they set it up in the thing, and it's still a little janky because it's time travel,
right?
But the way that they have laid the events of Endgame are not that they went back in time and changed what Thanos did. They went back in time, brought the stones forward, everything that happened, everyone who died, and they fixed it and then brought the stones back. So they didn't erase what Thanos did. That still all those events still happened, and they just moved forward from that point. They fixed it and then moved forward from that point. So it's not like no one remembers Thanos. It's all that shit happened, and the world was fucked up for 5 years, and that'll resonate throughout the thing. That's my only defense of it.
So I'm guessing that obviously they didn't show this, but with Tony's finger snap. Well, I guess with the wasn't there were 2 snaps, right? It was
Yes.
It was
They brought everybody back.
They brought everybody back, but we didn't get to see this. All of a sudden, people just would, pop up where their Ash was.
Who knows?
Where they were when they went to Ash?
Maybe.
I mean, I can imagine someone, crying a river, sweeping up buckets of ash on the streets of New York. Dear God, if you suddenly come back into existence commingled with 10,000 other people.
Right. I think it just happened. They reality stoned it.
They didn't show. Well, okay.
And yes, there was that snap, and then Tony's snap, which took out them. And then Cap had to go back in time and put the stones back exactly where they were, so Thanos would still get them. Again, it's a little janky, but it does kind of work. Time travel is such a...
I know.
It's such a pain in the ass, because
nobody wants to write the definitive Bible, and even if they do, not everyone wants to stick with it.
Yeah.
I certainly, I wouldn't want to be bound by the rules of time travel if my particular story needed a little tweak in how it worked.
Yeah.
Because that's my take on it.
Right. And they tried to use it more as a tool than a cheat. Like I said, they didn't erase it. They didn't erase what happened. And that's what everyone will always try to do. But they set it up so that it doesn't work that way. Right. So I can respect that to a degree. Yeah, it's a little shitty to use time travel to bring everybody back, but that's kind of not what they did.
Right. My thing is that now, independent of the Infinity Gauntlet, that didn't play into the time travel at all.
Right. That was just a vessel.
That wasn't anything to do with the time travel.
Oh, no, not at all.
They have now the ability to time travel.
They do.
So, in my opinion, that kind of lowered, oh shit, we lost the Hulk. All right, let's go back.
But again, the way they've set the rules up, you can't go back, and you have to go get Hulk and bring him to the future. So it's they'll have to.
Yeah, but if you go and bring Hulk from the future, from the past to the future before he gets killed, then you have effectively changed it.
Right. And
because the Hulk ain't there to be killed.
Right, kind of. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like they've set it up so that it doesn't work that way, but it does work that way. Mm-hmm. Because Gamora,
she's dead.
Is she?
Well, she's dead in the Endgame timeline.
She's dead in the Endgame timeline, but
who knows
when Thanos came to the future with it, she was with him.
She was, yeah.
Did she get dusted again? Because one of the last scenes is Quill on I forget I don't know if it's the Milano anymore, but one of the last scenes when Thor is in there, that's what he's doing. He's searching for Gamora.
Right.
Which one? Like the one that died, or the evil one who was turning, or
and who's to say that perhaps the title of the third Guardians film isn't going to be Asgardians of the Galaxy?
If they keep
Thor, I will love it.
If they keep Thor, it will be a fucking miracle. It will be so much goddamn fun because Quill,
they already set it up. I'm the captain.
Oh my god!
And the look, he didn't say a word. He just the comedy.
Well, he knows he can't compete with Thor, even fat Thor.
Yeah. He couldn't compete with dead Thor.
Yes,
I mean somehow.
So he is shitting himself, and it's so goddamn funny because he's so cocky.
Exactly. So I'm very hopeful that Guardians 3 will have. No, I want him in the full thing.
I want him in the whole movie. Yeah,
he just needs to be a part of the crew now.
Yeah. He's not going to be God of Thunder really anymore. I guess he can be, but he's moving on. He said he's going to go do something else, and if he's just a powerful dude hanging.
Well, I mean, that's how they set it up. I mean, they, he says he gave it to the Valkyrie to lead the Asgardians, and then he shows up with the Guardians.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, we still have another Guardians film that's definitely
happening now with the right people, with James.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, again, Disney, that was a financial decision. They did it perfect. They did it absolutely right. They fired him. They gave him enough time to make culpa, even though he did, and they brought him back on
and let people fume and feel like, he said some naughty things. He's not funny. He's gone.
Well, they did the reaction everybody has to do, which is, yes, we've taken care of it, we've let him go, but then upon reflection, I don't think they ever intended to let him go completely, because again,
who knows what was said behind the scenes?
Right, the guy made $2 billion for them. They're like, no, we're not going to
out of
take
D-list characters,
out of nothing,
out of E-list, Z-list characters,
and they were like, no, and we're not going to give that shit up. But
speaking of Guardians, one of my favorite scenes, at least in the time travel, one of the favorites.
Okay.
So many. They went back to I can't remember the name of any of the planets. The one that's at the top of the first Guardians.
Oh, Morag,
film.
yeah.
And they're doing the music and stuff, and then they show him, and the music is gone. He's like, and he looks like a fucking idiot.
Well, because he's got his headphones
exactly.
on. He's got his Walkman
exactly, and that's the kind I want. Oh,
that's
man,
genius.
I love that. I just thought, because that's exactly what it would have looked like to someone who wasn't in on the soundtrack.
Yeah. Oh, he's an idiot. Yeah.
So
I want to talk about I was the biggest surprise for me was the very beginning, when they 20 whatever minutes in, they go to the planet, and I mean, they did it so right where
the planet
that Thanos is on.
Right.
And they
Or
go
what-
to
or
where
was
he,
on.
well, yeah, they go to where he is, and they do what they were trying to do on Titan, which is Captain Marvel's got him by the throat. I think Rhodey had him by the one arm, and Thor just comes in out of nowhere and lops his hand off with the gauntlet. And I was like, holy shit, why didn't they do that in the first place? And then 5 minutes later, Thor fucking takes him out. And I was like, what? And I saw that line coming. He's like, what did you do? He's like, I went for the head. And I was like, oh my. And I was like, well, what the fuck are we going to do now? It's for 3 more hours.
Well, that's it. And roll the credits.
Yeah, what a bunch of lying assholes they were. Yeah, it's 3 hours long. No, it's only 25 minutes. We just
You know what? I bet you they chuckled.
They probably
and they
laughed
was
their ass
oh man, that's going to be great. We didn't have to put that whole scene in there. We could have skipped over it and done some other stuff. But you know what? We're going to put it in there just to blow people's minds.
Right.
Just to shake them up like.
It's 3 hours long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Because remember, the none of the previews had any Thanos after that scene.
No.
Or really at all.
Not that I remember.
I don't remember seeing Thanos maybe like one shot.
They showed the armor. They showed the armor on like the Scarecrow thing.
Exactly.
That was about it. You didn't see Thanos at all.
So you're thinking like, oh my God, is that what?
You saw
the whole movie just racing to turn it back and that's it?
Yeah.
That
was an amazing twist.
And how genius was it to what's her name? Karen Gillan's character. Nebula. To have the networks sync up.
Brilliant.
That is something that in a trillion years
they needed
I
something.
never would have.
They needed some way for Thanos to think.
Right, because otherwise they can go and we're done. Took care of it. No problem.
Right, but I mean they also needed Thanos to find their plan and start foil plan.
Right, exactly.
But how do
otherwise,
you do that?
Otherwise the film would be like,
and to have
45 minutes.
The two nebulas catch on the same network and be brilliant. Genius. It works. It's one of those things that it's like, that's a fucking dodge. No, I mean, it isn't that. Like any other thing they would have thought of, he found a note or he found a ship or whatever. That was perfect. That was absolutely brilliant.
And in the end, good Nebula had to kill bad Nebula.
Yeah.
So there's that.
There is that. That's a whole thing.
And oh gosh, hey, let's talk about Tony and his dad. Dude,
there's a lot of feels in this movie. Like for a fucking comic book, big giant crossover comic book movie, there is a lot of feels in this movie. And I tell you, man, some of them hit me harder the second time than the first time because I saw them coming and I was like, oh my God, here we go.
Such as?
Well, that and just the Sam thing at the end, which we'll get to, and just a lot of it was so. I knew it was coming, and I was like, oh, I can't wait. Oh my god, here we go. But yeah, the Tony Howard thing was pretty amazing.
The thing that shocked me the most was the title card 5 years later.
Yeah.
Like, they couldn't solve this shit for 5 years?
Yeah.
Oh, what's happening? And let's face it, if Scott hadn't, popped out the van...
Yeah, that was the one little Deus Ex Machina cheat that they did.
The rat accidentally hitting the button that brought him back.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a little hokey, but okay, we'll give you that.
You know
one.
what? They didn't. It didn't happen like a day later.
Right.
Things had to happen to be put in. So I'm like, okay. I let that go because they had to find a way. Because if quantum travel was the key, Ant-Man had to be there for it. How do we get him out? He's trapped.
Right.
We gotta, Now, it might have been better to have a scene that's a little bit longer, which, of course, the film starts breaking. The first rough edit must have been, well, they probably storyboarded within an inch of its life.
Yeah, the movie was about to collapse in on itself.
Yeah, exactly.
And become a black hole.
But to have somebody come in there and try to, rob storage units.
Yeah.
And go...
There were ways.
What the hell's that? Oh my God! Ant-Man pumps up and goes, "Hey!" and punches him or whatever like that.
Good. Yeah,
that was.
But this was okay.
Were I writing it? That's how I would do it. Yes, it would probably take another 90 seconds of screen time,
right,
to just establish. Here are some guys. They're robbing storage units. They're in this one. They hit the button, and here
Yeah.
The rat. Okay,
it's fine.
All right,
it's fine.
Rats in storage units. It happens.
And he had to come out to like the desolation of where the fuck is everybody.
Having no concept of anything.
Know. He didn't know anything.
Yeah. So if I remember correctly, he lost his wife, but his daughter was okay.
Yes,
that's
and
right.
that was what he. Well, we don't know. They never really said it. He went looking for his daughter. That's what he went when he found the memorials.
Okay.
He went looking for his daughter.
He found himself.
He found himself, and that's why he was like, "What is going on?"
Yeah.
They don't mention because his wife was Judy Greer in the movie, and her new husband was Bobby Cannavale, and they're hilarious because they love him so much. And
he's like,
he's like, ah. But they found, and he finds his daughter, who's now not a little kid anymore. Now
she's getting with Gendry in the stables before the big war.
No, that's a different thing. That's a different thing.
Okay.
And from what I understand in the comics, she eventually gets a suit too.
Oh, of course. Keep it in the family.
I think she's called Stinger. I think I read that. Okay. And so like Ant-Man and Wasp and Stinger is going to be the next one probably.
By the fifth film, they'll be like, new character, Ladybug.
Ant-Man and a whole bunch of fucking people.
and Ladybug just kind of flies around and, any killer aphids attacking the city. Nom, nom, nom.
Yep.
Yeah, we're good.
And another thing that I thought was really interesting was the absence of Captain Marvel, or the limited time that Captain Marvel had.
And you know what? That makes sense because
100%.
We've got a Captain Marvel, we've got a Hulk.
Yeah.
You don't bring out your, if you have the ultimate power in the galaxy at your side all the time, the stakes are whatever, and it makes sense. Earth is,
that's on one planet.
It's one planet in the entire galaxy. Granted, it's
universe.
It's the in the multiverse.
Yeah.
Granted, the Marvel universe is Terra-centric.
Yeah. Well, for
the most part, but there's other stuff out there.
We have seen tons of it.
Exactly. So Captain Marvel, she has just enough time to go fight some crime, get a nice new hairdo, and get herself back.
That was pretty hip because that's her. That's what she looks like in the comic. She's got the mohawk going on, or the faux hawk going on.
Where you been? Getting another haircut or whatever.
But again, I remember back when we were doing our Civil War show, and when Bernie was here, and he was talking about Civil War and how they had to take Hulk out of the equation because whoever has Hulk on their side wins. Same thing.
It is
exactly. They had her like, we got to get her out of here. She's too powerful, and we'll get her back in her dramatic moment when we need her.
And boy, when she came
Fucking
back,
A, man.
and she just flew right through Thanos' ship.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like that's the end
the
of
ship
that.
is raining fire on them, and then they raise up and start shooting. It's like, what's
they-
going on?
And I knew at the exact moment, I went, "That's going to be Captain Marvel."
Yeah.
And sure enough,
And she didn't even waste any time. She just flew through that ship and took it to pieces.
Yeah.
Well, that was the thing in the beginning of the movie, and they're like, well, where are you going? She's like, I'm gonna go kill Thanos. Just definitively, I'm going to kill Thanos.
Yeah.
Done. Like, forget that.
yeah, and they didn't overuse her or underuse her.
Yes, it was perfect.
They did it very nicely. It was a fairly good balance.
That's what I mean. That's why it's such an achievement, because they got it right. They got everybody to have their
They got everyone across the finish line.
yeah.
You know,
But I mean,
as far as actors wise, like they kept them. You know, obviously Hulk aside, everyone who started with it finished with it.
Yeah.
That's an achievement just in agents and contracts,
Right.
because Captain America was not under contract for this,
Yeah.
and he said, you know, yes, it makes sense to wrap up the storyline. I will do it.
Well, Robert Downey Jr. basically said he was out after Iron Man 3. He was like, I'm done. And they were like, well, we kind of need you a little bit for Spider-Man, and this Infinity War thing's happening. So he was in a bunch of stuff after that.
I'm 100% sure that's it for Downey.
He's done.
He has. There may be someone else in the Iron Man suit.
I think that is a thing that's going to happen.
It might be who Miss Potts might jump into it, although she has her own suit.
Yeah.
And you know what? We don't really need Gwyneth Paltrow to be Iron Woman.
No. She has a name, too, so we were trying to figure it out at work today.
Isn't it Pepper Potts?
Well, that's her name, but I mean, in the Iron Man suit, she has the superhero name.
I don't.
Yeah. And in the comics, like, there's a young black girl named Riri something who's becomes Iron Man, who gets the suit and becomes Iron Man. That's what I'm talking about.
Righteous.
Like in Endgame, we see one of the best scenes of the whole thing.
The passing of the torch from Captain America.
Well, no, we'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
When Thor is getting his ass beat and Thanos is just pounding on him, and Mjolnir hits him in the back of the head and then flies to somebody else, and fucking Captain America is standing there with the hammer. That was like, holy shit. You know, the fact that when they went back in time and he
got his hammer.
summoned Mjolnir, I was like, holy shit, they brought it back.
Wait a second. Takes a little time.
Yeah, sometimes it takes
a bit.
and I didn't even, it was one of those things I didn't think of. It's like I didn't see it coming. I was amazed at how many things in this movie I did not see coming, which is pretty much everything. And you know, we're like professional movie nerds, you know. We have seen everything, and we know story, and we know how things work. Right. And I know
there's that. That's
it's like, that's telegraphing that. That's what's going to happen.
There's the trope. There's that trope. Let me tell you, when Thanos got his head cut off, I was like, wow, did not see that coming. And that kind of set the tone, which is deft writing.
Well, they took you completely off balance.
Exactly. You had an idea of what was going to happen, and they said, no, within 20 minutes, no. What you think you're going to see, you're not going to see. You know, when they go to the Soul Stone planet, which is called whatever.
Vormir.
Okay, very good.
Saw it yesterday.
I was do they have a relationship where they love each other that way? I always thought that
no, they were teammates. They were
teammates,
and they had a history before.
Right, but I mean, they weren't romantic. But then again, it's not. You know, obviously, Thanos and Gamora wasn't romantic. It was father-daughter love. It was just love unto itself. And there's that teammate love, I guess.
Yeah, well, and they were...
And the fact that, no, I'm going to die. No, I'm going to die. No. And I went, you know what? It almost has to be that way.
Yeah.
It has to be where each tries to be, you know.
And unfortunately, she was right. She was right to say, it's got to be me. You have a family.
Yeah.
And the whole point of what you were doing, he's like, he wanted to do it because he wanted to repent for going around killing all those people in his new hoodie. And she was like, no, the whole point you were doing that for is because you lost your family. So it doesn't make sense for you to kill yourself.
And then everyone comes back. And
the whole point of what we're doing is
where's
trying
Dad?
to fix it.
Well,
he sacrificed himself.
No, exactly.
Why?
It makes
She's like,
perfect
I don't
sense.
have anything, really. She said, I have this family, and this was my mission, and I'm going to do it. And, she's well, other than she's getting a movie. So
but it's a prequel from what
it has to be. There's no other way.
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking about prequel pre-Avengers.
Yes.
I think they're going to do, the James Bond type thing.
I hope, because that's what I'm talking about. Like they kept Hawkeye and her have a running thing about something Budapest. So
I think we're finally going to see what
that would be
happens
awesome if we see Budapest
and
have him.
That means that he'll be around. I just think Hawkeye is fucking worthless.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, yes, he's done some.
They made him a kind of a badass in this, but yeah, they were trying to redeem that character.
I mean, anyone that can pull arrows and just repeatedly hit the target perfectly.
Even in
like
Age
that.
of Ultron, he was making that joke. He's like, "We're being attacked by an army of robots, and I got a bow and arrow."
Yeah, exactly. So,
yep.
Let's talk for a second. One thing I wanted to see that I did not see was some recognition that none of this would have happened if Quill hadn't started punching Thanos in the face. Seriously, if he was out of that equation,
yeah.
Now who's to say they would have gotten it off? Looks like they had it almost completely off.
Yeah.
And
it was their best.
Right. And, that hasn't really been addressed. But then again, of course, within, an hour or so of that happening, people turned to dust. So that became a little more of a priority to deal with that.
Not for nothing, just he didn't get much screen time, Chris Pratt, in this movie.
No.
At all. So there wasn't time for that. But Guardians 3, who knows? They may give him a lot of shit for it.
Yeah, now that it's fixed, it can go, hey, don't go punching the guy in the face. Or,
yeah.
And
that is a joke that they would make.
Yeah,
that's a joke James Gunn would make. Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, don't let the bad guy, don't let your emotions get in the way again, asshole.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's still just
But that's what I mean. That's what, when they attacked Thanos, they did it, they fixed that mistake. When they came in and Thor took his arm right off, that was like, oh, why the fuck didn't they think of that?
Yeah. I mean, the gauntlet doesn't go all the way up to his shoulder.
Right. And, it's, he's holding on to it, but if he doesn't have an arm,
yeah,
he doesn't
exactly.
have a hand.
Yeah, exactly. What else do you want to talk about Endgame? I mean, obviously, people, we're going to be jumping around. We are not going to do a beat-by-beat review. We never do that.
Right,
just hit the highlights.
Well, the big tearjerker, which is the resolution of Cap's story of Captain America.
That was nice. I did not know what was happening right away. I didn't, I looked and went, huh, and then turned around, went, oh, fuck. And that was some good makeup, too.
I don't think it's makeup. I think it's digital. The way they make,
do you think it was digital?
It has to be. The way they can make, Michael Douglas look 25.
They can age
they
people
just went
up?
the other way way with it.
All right.
But it was perfect. It didn't look like old age makeup where they put prosthetics on. He looked like old Chris Evans.
Yeah.
And that was absolutely beautiful. And the fact that he went and got a life, like he said. Like I said, it didn't erase Captain America from the timeline.
Right.
He just circled back around and stayed and went and got his dance with Peggy, which is the only thing he ever wanted.
His past was his present, which was his past.
Right.
So
his future was back. He went back with Peggy. So he must be like 100-something years old.
Well, he was already pretty freaking old.
He was in the ice. So he was 45 to 1945. He went in the ice in 1945.
Right.
And he had to be, let's say, 25. I can't do that math.
It's interesting that
that's 75 years.
That according to many films like this one, Aliens, if you're in cryo sleep or quote unquote frozen, you don't age at all,
or not or just very, very,
very, very, very slowly.
Yeah.
Ripley was out there for 56 years, and she doesn't look too much different.
No.
It only looked like really about 12 years had gone by, which in actuality, it was about 12 years. Let's see, 7, no, more like about 14 years between Alien and Aliens.
Was it that much?
Yeah, because Alien was, I want to say, 78, 79.
Yeah.
And Aliens was 86.
Okay.
So, And sidebar, Your Honor.
Sir?
A further sidebar.
Yeah.
There's been another kind of installment in the Alien franchise.
Okay.
Kind of, but not really. You're familiar with the White House Correspondents' Dinner?
Yes.
You're familiar with Samantha Bee?
Yes.
She does a thing every year. Well, this is only the second year, but she's started a tradition where she does a 1-hour show called Not the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
All right.
As a protest, and because they don't do comedians anymore because they hurt the fee-fees of people.
Where?
And the way they opened up the show was colonial soldiers in the installation.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, like, pew pew, quick, Ripley. I went, now, oh my God. It was Sigourney Weaver dressed exactly. They recreated the discovery of Newt,
and it was Samantha Bee.
and Samantha Bee was Newt. But here's the great thing about it is that when they get into the little place where she's cocooned herself above the turbines, as she's talking, and all of a sudden up pops Ali Velshi like, "Hey, I'm trying to get some sleep in here," and Rebecca Traister, who's a feminist writer, pops up. And what's her name? Katie Couric pops up with a line like, I'd rather have another colonoscopy live on TV than go to the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Wow!
And they just did a whole thing with Sigourney Weaver there. And I went, you know what? I looked it up. I think she's 69 years old now. And, yeah, she definitely looks older than in 86, obviously.
Yeah.
But still good.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, let's get that sequel to Aliens.
Yeah,
chop.
Yeah, get on that.
Let's not have people,
If you're going to do it, fucking do it.
Let's not put her in the fridge to avoid the nuclear blast.
And don't do the movie where she can only be in, 15 minutes of it because they can only film that much of.
No.
She's not the main character.
No, if she's in it, she's in it.
She's got to be in it.
She has to be in it.
There was a great Twitter meme going around, and it was, I will never describe a movie better than my wife's review of Alien. And
Alien.
He quotes, it says, "No one listens to the smart woman and everybody dies except her and her cat. 5 stars." I was like, that is brilliant.
Yep, that's about it.
Yep.
And the cats still live because Jonesy, the little shithead.
Yeah, he made it back and
made it out of Alien.
Yeah.
But in Aliens, Jonesy never went.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Stayed on
he went back, came back to Earth and stayed there.
Stayed there. Like,
only smart one in the whole group.
Exactly.
Back to Endgame.
Yeah, that's right. We're talking about
that thing. I was unbelievably happy.
Yeah.
That at the very end, going back to the Steve Rogers, the Captain America, that he gave the shield to Sam.
Yeah.
And not Bucky.
No, Bucky's his own.
But Bucky was Captain America for a little while in the comics.
But not.
And I was like, I've been saying since Winter Soldier, since we first saw Sam, I was like, he's got to be, if they're going to do this eventually, if they're going to pass the torch, because I remember hearing when they were filming Civil War here, I think, was it one of the movies, Peggy Carter dies, and they had her funeral, and somebody I was working with was working on something with it, and they said, oh yeah, the Captain America's funeral. And I was like, oh shit, I guess he's going to die in Civil War. And turns out it wasn't. But I was like, if he's going to die, they have to give it to Sam Wilson. They have to give it to Anthony Mackie and let him be Captain America, because it is time for a black Captain America.
Oh yeah.
And I want the next Avengers movie to be Sam as Captain America and all the women
leading.
Yeah. with Captain Marvel and Okoye and Shuri and Wasp and all the not Black Widow anymore, but all the female and Valkyrie and all the female characters. That's the Avengers I want to see.
Oh, that'd be good. Okay. Well, who says Cap has to lead?
Yeah. I think Captain Marvel has to be in charge of shit from now on.
Yeah.
Let him be Captain America.
I mean, let's face it. At a distance, if you're not paying attention, it's hard to distinguish Captain Marvel from Iron Man, the old leader of the.
Yeah.
Obviously a little more in the power department.
Yes, very much so. Yeah.
Just a little bit. I don't think Iron Man could go completely through a ship. He could probably do some.
He did some damage.
He could do some damage, but
not the way she did. Not just ping pong through it.
Right, exactly. Well, when Thanos punches him like 3 or 4 times, and his helmet's gone, and there's his face. You're
right.
Like,
and when he headbutts her, and she just stares at him.
Yeah.
that was badass too.
Yeah, one of my favorite scenes was, he calls for the hammer. It breezes right by her. She does not even make a move. I like her.
Yeah, I like this one.
I
really, Fat Thor being a comic thing, that was fun. But I thought the reasoning behind it and him being so depressed and distraught, I thought that was really well done.
Well, I mean, he had lost Loki. He had lost Idris Elba, whoever. I can't remember his name.
Well, he had the chance. He didn't go for the head.
Right.
And he thinks it's his fault. And in a way,
not only did he not go for the head, it was pointed out to him by the guy that caused all this. Like,
right.
Oh.
As a moment before he did the thing.
Yeah.
So Thor being like, please let me do this. I have to, I had to make this right. And the failure and the weight on him was so great. That was really intense. I was really happy about that.
I could see, and having, was it Korg and
and the little, yeah.
Just sitting around drinking the beers, playing the video game.
Playing Fortnite or whatever that
yeah,
was.
I like that. That was good.
Yeah.
That's the thing about the Marvel films. They balance comedy and tragedy pretty well.
Yeah.
You definitely wouldn't say any one of the films is an outright tragedy or an outright comedy. They balance it, with action, with
there's always feel, there's always character, there's
right.
always story. Yeah.
There is enough character development.
Yep.
They don't go overly into, they don't go as deep as I suppose they could, but they do okay.
Yep.
So a big old A from you?
Absolutely, yeah.
A from me.
Yeah.
I probably will, block out 10 years in the future to go see it again.
Trying
to balance my This time, though, I know exactly where to go to the bathroom if I need to.
I think I'm good seeing it in the theater. The next time I watch it, it'll be at home when I can pause it and go to the bathroom.
Okay. Yeah, I basically drank 8 ounces of liquid the entire day.
Yeah.
And went to the bathroom right ahead of time, and surprisingly enough, worked perfectly.
I wasn't even uncomfortable.
Didn't even think like, oh damn, I have to go to the bathroom. Didn't even
No.
So that worked out pretty well.
Yep.
3. What was the final run of the film? 3?
With credits and stuff, I don't know. It's like
310,
310, something like that, 312.
So, and the fact that it hit $1 billion faster than any film in cinema history.
Well, by this weekend, it's
2 billion. Yeah.
And it's deservedly so. I mean,
this is going to topple Avatar.
Yes,
absolutely.
Thank goodness. That's a terrible.
It's like it's almost like why?
I never figured that out. I always said that's what James Cameron, I'm making 5 more. Nobody cares.
I looked at the IMDb and it's like, oh yeah, the first sequel comes out next year, and it has Sigourney Weaver, and it is a Cameron film. I'll check it out, but I'm not wetting my pants for it.
No. Yes, the technology was kind of cool, but
I'm sure it's even better now.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, I don't know how he's financing all this, but I'm wondering if he's trying to get as much of this done, because I don't know if the box office... I mean, it's certainly not going to top Avengers.
No,
But-
it's not.
but-
And it's not going to top the original one.
Yeah,
And not 5 of them, that's for sure, or whatever, how many he's making.
I tell you, they better come up with a freaking compelling story for Avatar 2 for me to even go beyond that. I mean, I watched it. It was enjoyable. It was the thing. And I left the theater going, I saw it. Glad I was part of this
Right.
cultural movement. And I never thought about it again.
My barometer for stuff like that is Dragon Con. I have never, I never once believe I've ever seen any presence of Avatar represented.
Devil's advocate.
Okay.
It is quite a chore to blue yourself.
I agree, but I have seen plenty more than that.
People do that for other characters.
I've seen Gamoras that are full green. I've seen.
I get that,
But I mean,
it's more of a dedication to actually.
but even merchandise. There's no Avatar stuff
Well,
that
no,
you can
no.
get. It's
No
just
one-
nobody cares.
No one's
There was
cosplaying Avatar. Nobody's. Yeah, it's and what it's has it been? That hasn't been 10 years, has it?
It's got to be close.
It's been a long time.
It's got to be close to 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We'll see. We'll see.
okay, I think it's time to talk about the Battle of Winterfell.
the long
The
night.
long night,
The
yes.
long night. It was dark.
It was really dark.
I normally watch in my movie room
Yeah.
with a little lamp on the table next to it. I had to turn it off and darken the room as much as possible. And they said they did that on purpose, which I understand because they wanted the terror to be as it was for the people in Winterfell because they shot at night.
Yeah.
They didn't use a lot of artificial light. I get that, but you're filming entertainment for people.
I honestly believe
Yeah.
it was just a way to save money because rendering thousands and thousands and thousands of those zombies and for a 90-minute thing it's going to cost a lot of goddamn money. So if we obscure it a little bit, okay, we'll go the Jaws method. You can't really see.
And yes, that's
And I can deal with that. It was dark, but that wasn't the point of the whole thing.
The episode was dark and full of terrors.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's just go to the money shot, shall we?
Again, another holy fuck, I did not see that coming.
I honestly thought it was looking like a lot of our favorite characters would somehow survive and go and get down to King's Landing. And they would fight.
It looked like it would have to have been a massive retreat and be fighting all the way down to King's Landing. That seemed like the only way out.
And they would be met by Cersei's forces to try to, keep the Night King from.
And Cersei, let's just remember, she's like, fuck that. I'm not sending my people up there. I don't care.
Yep.
I've got my 20,000 from the Golden Company. I'm good. Fuck them. You know?
The Iron Bank.
Yeah. That's
going to become I think there's going to be in subsequent episodes a time when she desperately needs something from the Iron Bank, or because she owes the Iron Bank, she doesn't get something she desperately needs, and that's the end of that. Let's talk about the shot.
okay.
Apparently, I read an article from the Night King himself, the actor who played it.
Okay.
And apparently they shot that hundreds of times.
Really?
Well, because she's in a harness. Obviously, that shot,
Okay, let's describe the shot anyway.
Basically, the Night King has made his way to the Godswood.
Yep.
And Theon has
sacrificed himself.
After hearing from Bran, "You're a good man.
Yeah.
Thank you." And he goes, "All right, all the dumb shit I did, all the evil shit I did, all the betrayal, I'm good."
Not for nothing, it was time for Theon to go, in my opinion.
I'm glad to see him.
It was a good, noble death.
Redeemed.
But I had enough of it.
I like, running at the, really? Is that going to be the thing that kills the Night King?
No, but he had to do something.
Exactly. And he probably knew that.
Yeah, of course
he
he
just
did.
said, "You know what?
All right.
I'm not going to survive this night anyway.
I have to at least.
I might as well go out like a man,
I got to try at least.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So So he goes out, tries to kill him. Obviously,
And then-
does not work. Now, here's the thing.
Okay.
When they showed the viewpoint of Theon looking up at the Night King as he's, dying,
Yeah.
that shot made me think, holy fuck, does he have like a dragon glass dagger that he could find a weak spot in the armor?
Yeah.
It didn't happen. I'm
No.
like, okay. So the Night King advances to Bran.
Now they really led you down the path because for 7 minutes they've got Jon Snow running, trying to get to the Godswood.
Right.
And there's a fucking dragon in the way.
He's pinned down by the dragon, which apparently, according to him, can be defeated by yelling at him. But we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. I've read
Right.
theories on that.
Okay, I'd like to hear them.
Okay.
So it bounces back between Jon Snow trying to get to the Godswood,
Yep.
pinned down by the dragon, and the advance of the Night King.
And Bran just kind of waiting.
He's just sitting there.
Just sitting there.
He was off looking at his, pay-per-view porn in his brain somewhere with he's watching the moment of his conception over.
No, there was one that I saw, and it was like Daenerys, we'll defeat the Night King. Jon, I'll run to the Godswood. Theon, I'll sacrifice myself. Bran, I wonder what being a bird would be like.
That's exactly it. Well, he's back. He has thanked Theon.
Yep.
Theon has been killed by the Night King. Night King approaches, and it shows from Bran's point of view, the Night King staring at him. Then it goes back to Bran. He looks up at the Night King. Cuts to the Night King's face.
Yep.
Cuts back to Bran. He looks down with his eyes, looks back up at the Night King. The Night King does a slight turn like, what?
Okay.
Okay. Do you know what happens there? You know what just happened?
No.
Bran knows what's going to happen. He was looking like, oh, there's the gap in the armor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Then the Night King goes to pull his sword, and before he can even touch it,
You see.
one of the White Walkers' hair gets a little bit of a woof.
Yep.
And I was like, what the hell's going on? And then literally from out of the dark comes Arya. And why do you scream when you're trying to,
seemingly falling out of the sky.
Exactly. Just making a shot like, whoa. And like, why do you go, like that? Like, please, I'm announcing my arrival. Okay.
Yep.
So he knows she's coming. He immediately turns around and catches her midair by the throat.
And the hand. She's got her dagger. She's got her Valyrian steel dagger in her hand. He catches her one arm by the throat, one arm by the hand.
Exactly. Now, this is what the actor said. It's like he had to be very careful doing this.
I'm sure.
Because, you don't want to bruise or break, and they had to, and she does what she has done before.
Yeah.
She did it, I think, what was it, with the Hound?
She did it in the sparring match with Brienne, for sure.
Is that it?
She did it, yeah.
Right. Now, here's the thing.
Which is?
It's a genius move in that she came at him from above. He had to grab her, therefore lifting himself up and also moving up his armor.
Also, he's got one hand on her throat, one hand on her arm. She's got a free hand.
Exactly. And they showed it perfectly. She's like, drops it. And they show him actually registering like, all right, she's dropping her weapon. Not taking into consideration the free hand.
Yep.
And because his arms are lifted up, his armor has, his bare skin has been exposed, because that's the nature of armor, when you need to be able to move.
Right. It can't be a solid piece.
It can't be a solid piece, otherwise
you can't fight.
Exactly. So he's exposed, and the great thing about it is, as she catches it, it actually shows him looking down, like, what?
Yep.
And of course, takes him out, and the White Walkers shatter, and the dead just blump, 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 And of course, just before the dragon dies, what Jon Snow must have thought.
Okay, well, the theory I read on that is that he saw Arya, so he was distracting the dragon so that it was focused on him, so she could get past the dragon and get into the Godswood.
Okay.
And I can buy that.
Okay.
That I can buy, because standing up and yelling at it, what's the point of that?
Exactly.
You know, even, yes, you've got Longclaw, which is also Valyrian steel, which, you know, if you could get a shot in, but I don't know if that's going to take a dragon out. It'll take a White Walker out for sure.
No. If it, well,
I mean, but you got to get.
I don't know. Dragon glass is a touch.
But the Valyrian, we know the Valyrian steel will take the whites out.
Right, exactly.
Well, the White Walkers out.
But I don't know if it's a touch or if it's an actual piercing.
But still, you got to get close enough to it without getting
exactly. And the thing is, they teased us because the dragon leaned in and started opening its mouth. Like, all right, here he goes. He's going to go for the shot. Didn't need to. And it just kind of like a marionette puppet, literally. Yeah. That just like, fuck this, cut the strings, gone.
Now, I've read many, many theories on the fact that some say that Bran has put all of this in motion. He gave the knife. He gave the knife to her, but they're saying that he put that knife into play back when he was a kid. Because we know that he can affect things in time.
Yep.
So that was the dagger that started all of this that was going to kill him.
Right. And this has been laid out in several web videos and stuff. This has been, when you look at it now, it's like, of course Arya is the one that's going to kill the Night King. It's been so obvious.
Yeah.
All the training and the little bits here and there, even the drop the sword and get him anyway move. That's been foretold.
Well, and Melisandre even said, when they
but see, it was, what was it? It was brown eyes, blue eyes, and green eyes. Oh, okay, whatever. This time, and blue eyes. Which was almost like, huh? You see what I'm saying? And Arya's like, okay, I see what you're saying.
Because that scene happened 25 minutes earlier, at least, a half hour earlier, and Arya just runs away. And it was like, and then a whole bunch of shit happened, and you forgot about Arya.
And that's the whole point.
Yeah.
If she had gone right from that conversation straight over to the Night King,
3 minutes later,
it would have been like, okay, I saw it coming, but you
had so much battle going on.
So much, just and of course, I knew from the previous episode, the safest place in the whole castle.
Who thought that was a good idea?
When you're battling someone who can reanimate the dead, that's a bad idea. And the fact that they did not foresee that,
it's
boggles. It's stupid. I mean, yes, it turned out to be smart in the sense that yes,
it's underground.
It was limited to the number of Starks buried there.
Yes.
So maybe you had a 50, 60,
and
or whatever.
like I said, it's underground, and it wasn't
right. You're not going to be
overrun.
You saw once once the Night King dies, just 400 bodies on one thing of a wall, just going like that.
I was surprised by one thing.
Yes.
I thought they were going to pull 2 cards on us that they did not pull.
Oh, and what cards do you think they were going to pull?
Zombie Hodor?
Yeah.
And Zombie Ned.
Oh, down in the crypt.
I thought.
Did they get his body back after the?
I don't know.
I'm assuming.
And he didn't have a head, so that might make it difficult
for him to.
But I was like, at some point, those motherfuckers are going to show Zombie Hodor, and somebody's going to have to deal with that, and that's going to fuck all of us up.
You know what? It's possible that was brought up, and they went, "Oh no,
let's
not do that." I mean, this is already so horrible. We can't do that to people.
Somebody pulled up a video. My buddy pulled up a screenshot, and it was their old maester. They had a zombie version of him running around. They didn't focus on it, and they didn't make it a thing, but he was there.
Oh, he was there?
Yeah. Yeah, man, that was so out of control, so unexpected.
And I honestly thought we were going to lose at least Brienne. if not Jamie. And the fact that they were fighting side by side kind of set you up like, all right, there's going to be that moment where they're going to just, be fighting off. They would show like 10,000 in front of them just going at them.
Yeah.
They would keep fighting. They would just look at each other and go, and just go, take me. Or
well, just the fact that she got her
knight
knighthood and she smiled. I was like, well, that's
smile.
the end of her.
The first time we have ever seen, if she has ever smiled before, I have forgotten it.
She may have smirked for a moment at Podrick or whatever,
Possibly.
but she's never smiled. And I was like, oh, that's it. Well, that's Goose. Yeah, that's Goose from Top Gun. She's gonna die, and she didn't.
She did not. And the more I think about it, Jamie surviving is important for the upcoming episodes.
Yeah.
Because now it's 2 Lannisters heading on down to King's Landing.
Yes.
And we'll see what happens there.
Yeah. It's very interesting, though, because it's like, again, it's just like Endgame in the respect of, well, what the fuck are they going to do for 3 episodes?
Right. The battle of Winterfell ended with chopping off Thanos' arm, and you're like, well, now what?
Exactly.
You're like, well, you got the army of the dead is one thing,
right?
Cersei's another. Remember, she's been fortifying herself. She's been fucking guys to get their army.
This goes back to, this show is a drama.
Right.
It's a family drama, and so there are battles and there people die, but it's going to go back to being that. There is a bunch of shit we got to deal with.
Oh yeah.
So
now. What do you think is going to happen? Will Cersei survive the series, or will she not?
I have a theory on how it all plays out.
All right, let's hear the theory.
Okay, if you don't want to hear my theory, skip a couple minutes.
You don't work for HBO, do you?
I do not.
Then it's a fucking theory, and it could be just as wrong as it is right. So,
and I almost don't want to say it out loud because I don't want it to be true. I want them to surprise me, but I think we will see Jamie kill her. And Jamie will turn out to be Arya.
Well, because remember, Cersei is on Arya's list.
And has green eyes, from what I understand.
Yep.
So that's what I see playing out. And that's not the end of the whole thing either, because now that Jon has been revealed as a Targaryen, Daenerys is none too happy about that shit.
And a Targaryen that is closer,
directly in
line to the succession.
He is the heir to the throne.
Right.
Again, she ain't happy about that fucking at all.
And remember, they got separated, and it didn't get to really.
I was talking about that with a friend of mine at work today, and he was like, "Yeah, he fucking told her like right before the battle. Oh, by the way, I'm directly in line to the throne. Let's go fight the dead army." And she's like, "Wait, what?"
Right. And she was shaken, man. Remember when the Dothraki with the flaming swords went into the night? I was like, well, it's not going to be well for them, but we'll see. And as soon as I saw, I went, oh God, I know it's going to happen. The light's going to go out, and it's just going to be silence. And of course, some men came back, and a few horses.
Many, yeah.
Oh yeah, like out of what, 10,000,
Jorah
maybe
came
4.
back. Ghost came back.
Yeah. Well, of course, if you have a name in the series, you're more of a.
That
chance.
was what surprised me. That I thought this was where they were going to cull a lot of the characters, and we only lost like 4. Really,
we didn't. Yeah, we didn't lose. I can't remember. Was it Bendrick that sacrificed himself to the Whites?
So that Dolores Ed, who's John's buddy from Castle Black.
Right.
Theon.
Right, and we lost Melisandre, although she lost herself.
And Jorah.
Yeah. And you know what I really appreciated? He didn't get final words. Because if I heard him say, "I will always love you," or some bullshit like that, I would have been like, come on. And it looked like he couldn't even form words. So you got the intent, but not the execution.
That was
perfect.
Perfect, yeah.
Perfect. Because she knows. She knows he loves her to the end of the earth. And he went there and got cured to come back, to be,
to die at her feet.
To
That's
serve
exactly
her, knowing
what he
full
did,
well.
to protect her.
Exactly, knowing full well. You, me, never gonna happen. Not possible. So,
Right.
you know.
So, but I thought, I was like, we're gonna lose somebody big. We're gonna lose Jon or Arya or Daenerys or somebody. At least Brienne, I thought, and
No.
we didn't.
No.
We lost Theon, and again, I was like, okay, good. It's time for Theon to go.
That's fine.
And we lost, like what's his name, Gendry or the
Gendry?
not Gendry,
Gendry.
The guy who kept being brought back by the Lord of Light with the eye patch, who was with the Hound. That guy.
Yeah.
And we realized he was brought back all those times for that moment to sacrifice himself.
Guess who we also lost, which hasn't been mentioned?
Who
went out like a fucking champ?
Oh, probably neck and neck with the best moment of the fucking
Oh,
show.
yeah. I mean, being crushed to death and about to get your head bit off and puts a dagger right through the giant's
4
eye.
foot 11-year-old Lady Mormont who takes out
Oh.
a fucking zombie giant on her way
She is
down.
taking none of your shit.
And I read a thing and they were like, yeah, supposed to be a one scene character, and we were like, we would be
Foolish. Yep.
fools to not use this brilliant child in this role.
Oh, yeah.
And just every time she was on screen, she was the baddest motherfucker in the room.
I mean, grown men who have killed thousands are just like, like looking away like I don't want to look you right in the eye.
We made you king. We don't even know what you are now. Just like shaming the fuck out of these guys. She was amazing.
Oh,
And,
God.
I mean, that was a hero's death.
She had to. I watched it. Did you watch the behind the scenes?
I did. Yeah, I
You
watched
did.
the after
And they
show,
were saying,
yeah.
like, we can't give a death to every character that you might recognize.
But
her
needed
she
it.
had to have
Had
one.
to.
People would have been, if she just disappeared off the field of battle and we never heard what happened.
or just just being overrun by whites or something. Nah, not good.
She had to go out
She had to go
like
in.
a boss.
They were like, yeah, they give the biggest character we had and the littlest character we had.
And the littlest one killing the biggest one.
Whooping ass. Oh, that was so good.
Ladies are fucking shit up in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
We'll see what
I'm loving that.
We'll
man.
see what Cersei does in in the subsequent episodes. Apparently, Amelia Clark says, "Oh, the Battle of Winterfell was big. The next episode, the one that's airing at this moment as we are talking and recording this episode, is much bigger."
Really?
Now, I don't know if that means in battle scale or in just
epic
drama happening. Because there's some, we got some stuff to deal with here.
There's a lot of stuff to tie up.
I mean,
we're not even.
What
close.
happens if they, if Jon Snow and Dany, get to, they fight everything, they walk into the room, there's the Iron Throne, and they're like, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, here we are, there's the throne, and...
Well, here's the thing. He doesn't want it, though.
See, yeah, but you know what?
But he's also very honor bound,
Right,
to stuff.
And that's his.
He's
that's
like, well,
his
shit,
right.
I'm the one who's supposed to be on here, so
Exactly.
And she's gonna be like, oh fuck no.
I mean, I've already bent the knee and given up a kingship to save people. There's no one left to be saved, and now I'm, or maybe they'll be like, hey, we're kind of related, but not too close. Let's get together.
A possibility, if not a cheesy resolution to the thing, is that she's got a dragon melt the fucking Iron Throne and start over.
Oh, and say no Iron Throne.
Yeah, like we're done with that shit and we're starting over.
Ah.
If they do it well, could be a good thing. If not, but they could also do it a cheesy, we're going to rule together.
Well, she may or may not have a dragon. Remember what Cersei has down in the basement or whatever.
Yeah.
That she,
True.
she's got the thing that if you shoot it the right way, you can take out a dragon.
could
It's
take
like
out a
it's like launching a sharpened tree log.
She definitely hurt Drogon with that. It, well, Bronn did. That's a whole other thing. She gave Bronn a shit ton of money to kill Tyrion and Jaime. And my favorite meme, Bronn. Still, I mean, Arya is the best character. Bronn is still my favorite character and has been since the Battle of Blackwater, where he's in the pub, he's in the tavern, and they're all drinking, and he's got a wench on his lap, and the Hound is starting shit, and Bronn is like, "Are we really gonna do this?" And the Hound is bowing up, and he's like, "Okay," and he stands up and reaches behind him to get his dagger, and they get distracted. But I was like, this guy, I love Bronn, and I saw a meme that said, if this man does not get his castle, the entire series was a waste of time.
Screw the throne. Let's get to.
He wants a pretty wife and a castle and a lot of money. That's all he's ever wanted, ever.
And
but what the fuck does he do now? It's tough because he's still a merc. I mean, he's still a sellsword.
He's still a merc, and the person who gave Cersei is still at this point fully in power.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh, Cersei's dead now. I'll just keep the money, not kill the people, and we're good.
But he is somewhat honorable.
Well, yeah, and also in that way of things, if you just run with the money and don't do your job, they'll send people after you.
Yeah. But Tyrion has always said to him, whatever they're paying you, I'll double it. And so, and he has some affection for Tyrion, So it's going to be an interesting. So it's like, okay, yeah, they defeated the big bad army and the Night King and all that, but there's a lot of shit still left to resolve.
See, I before all this, I really was thinking that the big battle was going to be the Battle of King's Landing that included the Night King.
Exactly.
I thought that he would run over Winterfell, main characters would somehow escape and go down, and then that would be the huge battle. Instead, they're going to give us two separate, huge freaking battles.
Yeah.
But
again, how big is it going to be? Because the North got their asses handed to them. They lost a lot of people.
Yeah.
And Cersei's got the Golden Company, but if they don't get paid, they may fuck off. So it might not be as big.
The Iron Bank.
That's what I mean. If they pull funding, she can't pay those guys. They're like, well, fuck you. We're going to leave.
Yeah.
So it's going to be two much smaller armies who, it might just be main characters fighting each other. I don't know.
3 people in a field. All right, you go. Let's see.
I've got a stick.
I've got a pointy stick.
Pointy stick. Oh, he went.
Well, regardless of what happens, I'm keen to see how it ends.
Yeah.
And the way I think it's going to end,
okay.
The way I honestly think it's going to end,
okay,
is with Arya.
Medication time. Medication time.
We ran out of time. I will tell you next week.
The 9 Billion Names of Pod was conceived, written, and performed by Michael Reed and Dan Bauman, with Abdul Benny Hassan as the sound of splintering wood. Research, transportation, and exasperated looks by Courtney Lohner. Technical assistance by Cubase, Pro Tools, Skynet, QLab, Deep Thought, Big Brother, and Eddie, your shipboard computer. Financial consideration provided by the Wayne Foundation, Stark Industries, the Piranha Brothers, and Lexcorp. Legal counsel by the offices of Howard and Fine. R.I.P. Mr. Mayhew.
Oh, yeah.
Our intro music was written by Tim Akers. This podcast was sponsored by Deep Shag Records and is a production of Audio Primate. Throw us a couple stars on iTunes, why don't you? Listen, watch on YouTube, stream on Spotify, listen on SoundCloud, stream us on Stitcher, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, or email us, comlink@billionpod.com. And until this happens again, I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm Michael Reed.
Hello, Z.
Audio Primate.